Ouch. I forgot to do that. All right. All right. So, yeah. So Democrats have been suffering quite a few defeats, and today we're going to be looking at a statement by Barack Obama. Obama, who himself had a spectacular uh, episode during the lead up to the elections, where he was calling on black people to get out there and vote, and he was largely ignored because he was perceived to have been talking down at or on black men. Well, but before we jump into this, let me know how your day was in the chat, in the comment section. I really had a very hectic day at work today, and I hope that you had a better one than I did. But here's the thing about life. Okay, for those of us who are developing a family or building up a family or a legacy, you're going to have days that are not the kind of days that you enjoy, or you have to just pick up and keep going. Now let's watch this news report from CNN about the Obama speech, and then we will dive into our stories. We have a bit to talk about today, and I just want us to go through them one by one, and then let me know your thoughts as we cut through these stories.
Former President Barack Obama issuing, well, frankly, a blunt message to Democrats. Toughen up at a private fundraiser in New Jersey. The former president issuing a call to action, telling Democrats frustrated with leadership under President Trump to stand up, saying what's required is, quote, a little bit less navel gazing and a little less whining and being in fetal positions. What's needed now is courage. Obama going on to chide voters, saying, quote, stop looking for the Messiah. You have great candidates running races right now.
All right, so this is coming from the guy who, when he ran for office back in 2008, or I think he won. He ran in 2007, and then he got into office in 2008. This is the same guy who basically called himself Superman. He, during one of the presidential dinners, he called himself Superman because he was basically seen as the great black hope.
Support those candidates, but warning those candidates they need to deliver for people, saying, you want to deliver for people and make their lives better? You got to figure out how to do it. With me now, the two-time Democratic nominee for governor of Georgia, Stacey Abrams. She's the author of the new novel, Coded Justice, available in stores tomorrow. Now, Stacey, I want to get to your latest fabulous novel in just a moment. But first, what is your response to former President Barack Obama's quite blunt message to Democrats, talking about getting out of the fetal position? Is that how you would describe the state of the Democratic Party right now?
I think people are trying to grapple with the unraveling of what we have assumed for a very long time was a nation impervious to the type of autocracy and authoritarian regime that we see unfolding in front of us. But I think the response is
so that's the go-to of this Democrat, that people are grappling with autocracy. Now, do you think that Donald Trump is an autocrat from everything that you've seen so far? I don't think so. If you've lived in a third world country, you would not call this an autocracy. We in Nigeria, we have a quasi-democracy, because it is democracy that is run like it is a military government. It is basically an autocratic system. You have people who aren't voted into power. Everyone who gets into power, and I mean everyone, is rigged into power. And once they're there, it's basically their turn to loot the country. That is the way it is. So when she mentions the fact that this is an autocracy, I don't buy it, because I've seen autocracy. I lived under it for over 40 years, and I know what it smells like. And what Donald Trump is doing isn't that.
In line with President Obama, which is that we've got to take action. We can't simply react. We have to lead. And that means not just those who are elected officials or those who are party officials. It's anyone who shares our values, anyone who believes in fairness and opportunity, who believes.
Yeah, so this is coming from the party that put someone who basically was a stand-in for Obama. Joe Biden wasn't the one leading the United States. Everyone knows it. And, them coming up right now after they lost the last election, trying to gin up their base and telling them to get out there and vote, that there's no Messiah coming from the guy who stood up as the great black hope. I don't think that this is ringing well with the base. The only thing that they can really galvanize their base around is Trump bad.
These indignity and injustice. We are the ones who have to take leadership and ownership of this moment. We've got to show that democracy can deliver, but that doesn't just mean those who are in elected office. It means anyone who sees a neighbor in need. We lead with our values, so we show up and we help. And yes, that's our job in this moment. What they want us to do with their attempt to freeze our sense of capacity,
really,
they want us to just curl into the fetal position. But what we've got to remember is that before we had money, before we had power, we had each other.
Okay, so you admit that Democrats have money and power. Okay, got it. Now, this is the classic Democrat play, and it is play the victim and blame everything on the other side. Now, Obama has given his speech, and he's trying to get the Democrats to behave themselves, because all they've been doing is acting out and throwing tantrums. And speaking of tantrums, let's listen to Timu Obama. Okay, he is the he's the discount Obama, trying to every time I see him, I see someone who is trying hard to be Obama, and he's grabbing onto the latest Democrat narrative. Okay, and this is all about the Epstein files. I did 2 live streams about the Epstein files. You know what my position is. I don't like what the administration is doing. So this is not me trying to run interference for the Trump administration. But let's listen to Hakeem Jeffries talk about how he's demanding that the Trump administration release the Epstein files.
Over the last few days, a number of members of your caucus have been posting and engaging in some of the discourse about Jeffrey Epstein. Is this appropriate for your members to be doing so? Do you want to see any action on that front?
The American people deserve to know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You guys had power for 4 years, okay? So the American people deserve to know the truth, the whole truth. You guys had power for 4 years. You guys listened or heard the conspiracy theorists talk about the Epstein files. You mocked them. You told the world that there was nothing there. And then now that the MAGA base is demanding that Trump releases the Epstein files, they want it to seem like, oh yeah, we also wanted the files to be released. You guys had the House and Senate for 4 years. You had the presidency for 4 years, and you did nothing. So don't even try to sound like you were interested. Okay?
Truth as it relates to this whole sordid Jeffrey Epstein matter. Democrats didn't put the Jeffrey Epstein thing into the public domain. This was a conspiracy that Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, and these MAGA extremists have been fanning the flames of for the last several years.
You see what I mean by him being Timu Obama? His mannerism, how he picks his words. Okay, I guess he so desperately wants to fill those shoes.
and now the chickens are coming home to roost. The American people deserve to know the truth.
So what's the truth?
What, if anything, is the Trump administration and the Department of Justice hiding?
Okay, so first of all, in one breath, Hakeem Jeffries says that these were conspiracy theories. And then on the other hand, he's saying that the Trump administration is hiding something. Yeah, Free Will Burning says that Jeffries pretends to be a moderate. Let me see if I can get your chat up on the screen. Come on. I need to be able to do this. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out my technology. Okay. Okay. I'm going to figure out my technology. All right. So Free Will Burning says Jeffries pretends to be a moderate. Well, he's still a Democrat, and Democrats they all dance to the same tune. They all dance to the same tune. Anyone who steps out of line is summarily put back in the box. So I agree that he sounds like a moderate. He's more reasonable. He's more reasonable than all the other Democrats that I've heard so far. Okay, but like you said, he pretends. And that's what the Democrats do to kind of get people, galvanized around their thing. And then when they get into office, then they go nuts. So I think that's what tends to happen. So thanks, Free Will Burning, for that. I appreciate that. Thank you for contributing to this live stream.
What are you hiding? If you're not hiding anything, prove that to the American people. And if you are trying to hide something, as many of Donald Trump's MAGA supporters apparently believe, then the Congress should actually work hard to try to uncover.
Yeah, there are no moderate lefts. Trump was a moderate. Tulsi and RFK were moderates. Now they're out of the Democrat Party. That is because the Democrat Party pushes out anyone who... Okay, so I think what happened, and I'll try to be as as detailed as I can be. What happened was that Marxists took over the Democrat Party in the 60s, and they gradually edged out the moderates who had the funds, because it was the moderates who were funding the Democrat Party. The Marxists gradually took over the Democrat Party and forced out the moderates bit by bit. By the 90s, there were only a few moderates left, and by the early 2000s, Trump was out. So I think earlier there were moderates, but eventually radical leftists took over and forced out the vocal moderates. What we have now are silent moderates who know that they can't fit into the Republican Party or even run as independents, and that the only way that they can run for office and make a dent in the voting populace is to be part of one of the two. And if you can't be on the Republican side, then you have to be or run as a Democrat. So let me know if I'm getting this right, okay? Those of you who've been following me know I don't live in the United States. I have an American citizen as one of my kids, okay? I have an uncle baby, all right? Okay, let me see the rage in the chat. I have an uncle baby, okay? But I live in Canada. So I don't think that a moderate can run and succeed in the Democrat Party as it exists today.
Cover the truth for the American people. There are only two things that are possible here. Option one, Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, and the MAGA extremists intentionally lied to the American people for years about the Jeffrey Epstein situation. That's option one. Option two is that, in fact, there's reason for the American people to be concerned as it relates to what information has not been released that could be damaging to the Trump administration and the friends and family of the Trump administration and their billionaire corrupt supporters. And so they're
all right. So coming from the Democrats who during the last election, okay, the list of billionaires who supported the Democrats far outnumbered those who supported the Republican Party. And so when they do this, they basically try to tell us that the Republican Party is doing what they have been doing for years. They've been the party that has been funded by billionaires for decades.
They're actively engaging in a cover-up. Option one, they lied for years. Option two, they're engaging in a cover-up. At this point, it seems reasonable that can only be one of the two things.
All right. So, to be fair, okay, we all have to agree that this has to be talked about. Okay, we have to hear what exactly is going on with the Epstein files. No one who has two eyes and a brain thinks that anything that the list doesn't exist. No, we all know that there's something going on. Ghislaine Maxwell isn't spending time in jail for a non-existing list or for no crimes committed. All right. So now, while he's up there giving a speech and trying to get everyone to point fingers at the Trump administration and the Republican Party and call everyone who agrees with them conspiracy theorists or liars, we have this situation in California that we talked about briefly yesterday, the raid on the cannabis farm. And immediately that raid took place, we had the Democrat Party jumping up to run interference for, the immigrants who were working there. A bunch of them were illegal, and that was the reason why ICE was at the facility. Something came up in my news feed, and I want us to look at this and talk about this because this goes on all the time in third world countries. Oh, yeah. So, look, you guys, I'm going to always stop to address the chat, okay? You guys are my friends. I'm not going to talk over you. So, Free Will Burning is on fire today. All right. Look, everyone else who's watching, please feel free to jump in. Okay, let's have a conversation. So, Free Will says, but where are all these so-called victims? You would think they would be begging to be heard. Yeah, well, that's one way of looking at it. But there are a bunch of people who want to see the victims, but I don't think anyone will be proud to stand up to say, "Hey, I was at the island. I was a participant. I was used." I think there's difficulty in victims standing up. The one victim who stood up isn't with us anymore. All right, and there are theories about what happened to her. Virginia Giuffre, she was said to have eliminated herself. Okay, so it's difficult for these people. And look, when you're dealing with extremely powerful people, and I said yesterday during the live stream that no one who visited the island was less than a billionaire. There were billionaires who went to the island. There were people who shaped world economies, leaders of countries, and it would be impossible for you to, as a regular guy, to stand up against these people. Okay, especially when you're not sure that the government is there to protect you. Look at what's just happened. Okay, for a long time, people who currently are in the Trump cabinet said that the list existed and that these people who were on the list needed to be brought to justice. And suddenly, there's no list. Now, imagine if you were one of these people stepping out and putting your neck out there like Virginia did. And you're like, okay, yes, now we have someone in the White House who will do something about this. And then midway through the entire process, they leave you high and dry. Okay, so it's I'm trying to see things from both sides, okay? Because yes, we need to know who the victims are. However, if you're looking at the lineup of people, powerful people who visited the island, it's very difficult to have people stand up and say, okay, I want to point fingers and name names. Okay, these are extremely powerful people, and the victims should be terrified. All right. Now, in third world countries, okay, and most of these people understand this. In third world countries, powerful people who are extremely wealthy own the law enforcement system, so they hardly ever get convicted for any crimes. All right. So let's listen to this story about the connection of the cannabis farm with one of our beloved Democrats. Okay, let's have a look and listen to what this story is about.
And now we're getting new details about the California pot farm, which became the scene of a massive standoff between ICE agents and protesters last week. Agents managed to apprehend over 360 illegal immigrants at the farm.
All right, so Fox News is engaging in political correctness, and I want to correct them. If you've seen the videos of the people who were protesting, they were throwing rocks the size of my fist at the ICE agents. They were. So that isn't a protest. It stopped being a protest the moment people began to throw rocks at federal agents. So these are rioters,
including 14 underage minors. And now we're learning more about the farm's owner. Glasshouse Farms president and co-founder Graham Farrar has been called a pioneer in growing so-called...
Oh, he looks like a tech bro, doesn't he? Say yes in the chat if he looks like a tech bro. Because he does. He does.
environmentally friendly cannabis. And he has a history of donating to Democratic candidates and causes, including a hefty $10,000 donation to Gavin Newsom.
Okay, so again, here we are with, where the money comes from for the Democrats. Hakeem Jeffries in the previous video claimed that the Republicans and the Trump administration is backed by powerful, corrupt billionaires. But they're the ones who basically own the powerful, corrupt billionaires. Free Will says the farm was donating to Newsom and other Democrats. Call it hush money. True. Because most of these facilities, and I said it yesterday during the live stream, most of these facilities thrive on illegal immigrant labor. They do. They thrive on illegal immigrant labor. Yeah, you heard it on MSNBC. Is that MSNBC or I don't know. Well, I would assume it's MSNBC as well. Yeah, Free Will. They thrive on free illegal labor. So when you have a Democrat Party that encourages a porous southern border that brings in cheap immigrant labor to funnel labor to supporters like him, you just follow the money. It's really easy to see.
Back in 20...
Oh, MSN, Microsoft, are they still in business? I used to watch them years ago. Oh, wow.
Meanwhile, Democratic California leaders are still working to oppose immigration enforcement however they can. That includes Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, who's rolling out a new plan to give cash cards to families allegedly threatened by ICE.
Okay, so let's talk about the money before we talk about Karen Bass's bribe. Well, would you call it bribing? Because what I see the Democrats doing with illegal immigrants is what I have seen for years in Nigeria with politics in Nigeria. In Nigeria, people who are poor are usually paid to vote. They are paid to vote. So every election cycle, the rich, corrupt politicians visit the very poor neighborhoods and they hand out 5,000 naira per family. Okay. In some cases, 5,000 naira per person. How much is 5,000 naira? That's $5. That's how cheap the votes in Nigeria are to the poor people, because some of these poor people haven't eaten a meal for days. And so when you hand them $5, they will sell their soul to get that $5. All right. So what the Democrat Party, is doing is basically what Nigerian politicians have done for years. They ensure that people stay poor, and then they come during the election cycle and appear to be their messiah. Obama said there's no messiah coming, but the Democrat Party want to show up like they are the messiah, and then they hand out money to people who need it, or in this case they hand out free access to the United States, to a new voting population. Now they will call it a conspiracy theory, and the Trump administration is doing their best to stop that plan. All right, but those of us who have lived through things like this know what it looks like. So before we move on to Karen Bass, let me know what you think about the claim by Hakeem Jeffries that corrupt billionaires are supporting the Republican Party and MAGA, when we see individuals like the owner of the cannabis farm donating to Democrats and Gavin Newsom himself regularly, when we see staff at Alphabet, Google, who disproportionately donate to Democrats or to the Democrat Party, when you look at Silicon Valley and you see that over 70%, let me be conservative, of people who work in Silicon Valley donate heavily to Democrat causes. So let me know what you think about these statements, and whether my own statements and my own observations are accurate.
But we also are going to have a reinstitution of the Angelino card, something that Mayor Garcetti started during COVID, that will actually provide cash assistance to people. Because, you have people who don't want to leave their homes.
Okay. I'm sorry. Let me know in the chat if you hate the way I'm interrupting these videos. I want to know what you think. Now, I have to adhere to fair use rules on YouTube, so I can't just play other people's content without commenting on the videos. But I just need to do that. So let me know what you think, and I need us to interact. So what she's doing here is a socialist agenda where you make people dependent on the government. People don't need money, they need jobs. However, these are immigrants, and immigrants well, I don't know, immigrants don't need handouts. All right. First off, if there was a program that the Democrat Party was running to bring people into the country legally, and they went through a port of entry, that would have made sense than what the Biden administration permitted for 4 years. So if handing out cash is not a good idea, Free Will Burning says no, it's good. Most people have seen these. It's fine. Okay, yeah, it's fine. You talk. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for letting me know that. And I would like everyone to contribute. Like, this is a live stream that I set up to be able to have conversations with you for 40 minutes to an hour. Just look at the news and talk. If you've gone through my channel, you've seen that I do recorded videos and I edit my videos, but I want something that's real and connected, and that's why I'm doing this. I really want to be able to have these conversations, because it's really easy for us to live in our bubbles, in our little spaces where we listen to news from the same sources and we have the same ideas. But I miss those times when you could have a really interesting argument with someone without hating that person. And that's really what I want in this space. I know that doesn't apply to most people, but I really want to be able to have these conversations and say, okay, look, this is what I think. And if you push back, I'm like, okay, I didn't see it that way. However, I would like us to talk about the facts. And the facts are that when you give away free money to people, you take away their agency to begin to look for means of taking care of themselves. And that's why the welfare system, in my opinion, okay, is a bad idea. It has created generations of dependence on on taxpayer money, all right, especially in Black communities.
Who are not going to work, and they are in need of cash.
All right. I want to rewind this statement that she just made because I interrupted it, and she makes a very, I think it's bad. Okay, I'll call it bad. She makes a bad statement, and I want us to hear her say it out loud, uninterrupted.
Something that Mayor Garcetti started during COVID that will actually provide cash assistance to people. Because, you have people who don't want to leave their homes, who are not going to work, and they are in need of cash. It's a couple.
You have people who are not going to leave their homes, who are in need of cash. That makes no sense. Please make it make sense. All right. So, I have 3 kids. All right. And one of the visions I have is to teach them to be self-reliant, to teach them to take care of themselves and not be dependent on the government and not even on their parents. I want them to be independent. When you hear statements like this is a slave mentality. When I hear conservative voices say that the Democrat Party behaves as if they regret that slavery stopped in the, when the abolition took place, it's very easy to believe that that is true because the policies that they lay out create dependent citizens that lose their agency and decide to depend on the government. And anyone who says to them, you have to take care of yourself, they call them racists and bigots.
Couple $100, I don't know the exact amount, and this should be available in about a week.
All right, so this is your money, okay? This is taxpayer money. This is taxpayer money. When government officials like this talk about giving away assistance to able-bodied illegal immigrants, okay? This is your taxpayer money being squandered on illegal immigrants. So let's call it what it is. Are there people who can't help themselves? Yes, there are. Are there quadriplegics who maybe they were soldiers or they were sick and they can't help themselves? Yes. Send the checks to those people. But when you have people who are able-bodied, who refuse to work, let them go get a job. Let them go cut grass. let them cut grass. My son is printing out flyers to distribute it around the neighborhood to cut grass. Well, though he has refused to cut my grass regularly. He wants to get paid to cut other people's grass. I'll see how that works out, and I'll keep you guys posted. Okay, but I told him, look, you need a job. He's turning 14 in a couple of months. He needs to get a job. Okay, he needs to learn self-reliance. Okay, Free Will says, guys, the rest of you are just watching Free Will and I talk. I don't want us to hog the conversation. So please jump on the chat and let's know what you're thinking. I feel SSI, Social Security, should be only good for the mentally ill, disabled, and people 55 years and older. I even think that it should be higher than 55. I think maybe 60, 65, depending on their health, situation. Because I have seen 70-year-olds. I know 70-year-olds here in Canada who still take care of business. So I would say 65, but I'll agree with you. 55 is fine if you're not feeling too well, and older. But it's got way too far. Yeah, I'll say it's gotten way too far. People trading or selling their food cards for drugs or cash stuff like that. I heard from one of the conservative commentators out there that there are whole families, okay, mother, daughter, granddaughter, who are living on welfare, who are living on welfare. And the deal is find a man, get pregnant, then get on welfare. So that's basically the scam on families. And where does this happen most of the time? Black communities. So it is, for me, it's important that people learn how to take care of themselves. Okay, so let's leave Karen Bass to her ideas. But do you know what? California is really a very disturbing state. It's a disturbing state. The kind of policies that are pushed, the kind of ideologies that they stand on as leaders of the state. One, I doubt that the state will ever turn purple or even red again. I doubt it. So California, for me, appears to be a lost cause. But if you live in California and you're willing to fight for your state, and when I say fight, I don't mean violence. I mean do the work, canvass, get into campaigning at the grassroots level, get into politics, and vote. All right. Yes, Free Will Burning says people that live in rural areas have a hard time finding work also. That is true. And here's what I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, okay? And I'll tell you why I think the way I think. I think that rural communities have been decimated by leftist or progressive policies. The reason I say that is this. Urbanization and globalization have been responsible for taking able-bodied men and women out of the rural communities, leaving the elderly behind, and they can't run anything, they can't create anything, okay? They can't maintain anything. And so things that used to run smoothly in the rural communities, farms and mom and pop stores, and COVID is responsible for destroying that. All of these things have gone away from rural communities. So now younger people who are coming up in the rural spaces don't have places to work. So I think Democrat policies or leftist policies have been mostly responsible for that. All right, so let's charge ahead. I totally agree that people in rural areas struggle to, and find it hard to get work, at least meaningful paying work. So I've talked about the Democrat Party, all right? So it's equal opportunity time. It's time for me to rip on the Republican Party that I am so fond of, okay? All right, they deserve the spanking that they've been getting over the last week. And here's CNN with a poll, okay? We're going to watch this and get to the poll. CNN is telling us that over 50% or about 50% of the base of the MAGA base is demanding for the Epstein files to be released. Let's watch this and then have a conversation about this. This is such an uncomfortable conversation, but do you know what? I have not seen any leftist platform oppose Democrat ideologies, even when they are driving the entire base off the cliff. Everyone, backs it, they support it. There's no one breaks ranks. But in the conservative space, when a candidate, a once in a lifetime candidate like Donald Trump, poops the bed, everyone and their mama is up in arms saying something stinks. Okay, so let's listen to CNN and then we'll talk about Epstein once again, just for a bit, because this is interesting. Because the Trump administration seems to want this to go away, but it's not going anywhere until this is resolved. I said yesterday that Trump should get on podcasts and talk for 3 hours about this. Get his cabinet in, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, 4 of them get on a podcast, sit at a round table with Rogan, and everyone who they said helped them to win the last election, and have a 4-hour podcast interview on Epstein, and possibly a call-in interview. Let everyone ask questions until they drop until everyone is so tired that they can't think straight. Everyone has to exhaust their questions about the Epstein situation. Let's listen to CNN and see what they have to say about this.
CNN's Elena Treen is in Pittsburgh, where President Trump is also set to speak here in a few minutes. Elena, what more are you learning about how the White House is handling the fallout here?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's very clear from our reporting, our conversations with White House officials, Trump administration officials, that he wants specifically this story, or people to move on from this story. He's trying to get his base to let this go away, and he's directing some of his team behind closed doors to do what they can to help it die down. That's why we actually saw the president directly making calls this weekend. We know he reached out to Charlie Kirk, a fierce supporter of his, the head of the Turning Point USA, and they held a summit this weekend. He had tried to, convince him to, knock off with the criticism, tamp down some of the criticism of the handling of this Epstein case. And we actually saw Kirk yesterday say that for now, he is not going to comment further on all of this. And we also know that the vice president...
Okay, is that true? If that's true, that's going to be disappointing because I don't think, yes, those who are on the in the MAGA base, they respect the president, but in a situation that is this, I wouldn't call it divisive, but it is a serious conversation around abuse victims and possible perpetrators who are at the center of lobbying and setting policy in Washington, D.C. It is a big deal.
J.D. Vance, he was trying to play peacemaker with people within the administration where there's been infighting on this between the FBI Deputy Director Dan Bungie.
Yeah, Free Will says even if it was all fake, like some psyops, it's not going away. It opened a Pandora's box. Okay, so I agree with you because I don't think it's fake and I don't think it's psyops because these were conversations that were happening for years. The Epstein situation, I think it was interrupted by COVID. It was interrupted by COVID because all of that was happening leading up to COVID. And then suddenly there's this pandemic and everyone was focused on the pandemic for a while until it died down. And everyone remembered, okay, Ghislaine Maxwell, she was arrested, tried very quickly, by the way, and sentenced to 20 years. And then suddenly everyone it builds momentum. And then there's question about whether he eliminated himself and whether there is a list. And there were conversations around evidence, videos, a list, possible connection to intelligence agencies, and so on. So it's been around for years. So I don't think it's psyops because it basically had an organic evolution into what we have today. Okay, it's true that there could be an element of psyops in what's going on right now, but it's gone on for too long to just be something that was artificially inserted into the general population.
He also called Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, and Attorney General Pam Bondi were reporting. But just to add to some of what we heard from the president right there, he's been very full-throated in his defense of Bondi repeatedly now in the last several days. But he also argued that he believes that if she believes that they can put out some more of these files and have them do it in a credible way, that she should. But then he also tried to argue and really cast the blame on some of his political opponents, saying they made up some of this idea that there was a file list or a client list in the first place. Take a listen.
On Epstein, of the review of the files, Attorney General Pam Bondi.
A very quick briefing. Yeah.
Did she tell you, what did she tell you about the review? And specifically, did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the file?
No, she's given us just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen. And I would say that, these files were made up by Comey, they were made up by Obama, they were made up by the Biden, we went through years of that with the Russia hoax.
Okay, so with all due respect, if the files were made up by Comey and company, they would have used it against President Trump when they were prosecuting him for all the things that they brought up. Let me know if you agree with that idea, because I don't think that this statement he made right now passes the smell test. Okay, Trump is trying really hard to salvage the situation. He doesn't want to have to fire Pam Bondi. He likes her. He wants her to stay there and do the job that he put her in there to do. But the way he's handling it, it's almost like the more he tries to, douse the flames, he says something that starts it up again. And this statement, like, he was going okay earlier, and then as soon as he said what he just said about it being created by the FBI and the CIA, he lost me on that. I don't think so. Do you agree with him? Do you disagree with me?
With all of the different things that we had to go through, we've gone through years of it, but she's handled it very well, and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release.
So a few things to note there, and of course I want to really point out that when he references former Presidents Obama and Biden, or former FBI Director James Comey saying that they made up the Epstein files, I'd remind you that a lot of people in the president's base, and even some people in the administration, had been the one.
All right, Free Will, I don't understand this last statement. You said they should be okay. Oh, you said yes, and they should be trying to coach the victims into developing a conviction. Oh yes, okay, to develop a conviction of the criminals who were part of the Epstein Island issue. Okay, I understand that. So I'm gonna work on my tech where I can show the content of the chat. I've been trying to do that. Oh my goodness, it's working. It's working. Oh, congratulations. Okay, it's working. All right, so I have to figure out how to make this not look so jarring. All right, so Free Will, here's all your chats, okay, in glorious black and white. This is nice. Okay, so I would love to see more conversations up here. I'm going to hide this for now. Okay, so whenever there's a new conversation, I'm going to work on it and make it neater. And then I'm going to talk with my wife to let me do this every day, at least during the week, figure out the best time of day. Yesterday, I live streamed at 11:30. Yes, I can see all your typos, and very soon everyone else will be able to see it too. But look, it's all good fun. It's all good fun. So I'm gonna talk with my wife and find out the best time. Last night I live streamed at 11:30 p.m. Today I went live at 8 p.m. So I'm gonna just agree. She's 1,000% behind me doing what I'm doing on YouTube, and because I have a 9-to-5, I don't have, this isn't a full-time job for me, so I have to get back from my 9-to-5, hang out with my family. I have 3 kids. I have to be there as a father to them, and then I have to connect with you guys. So can I just have an interlude with you guys? I know that a bunch of you came in to watch the news, but I just feel like before we wrap this up, I want to just tell you why I'm doing what I'm doing, so that you understand that you understand why. Okay, so to start with, I started commenting on news and politics because of my kids. Last year during the presidential campaign, I found myself getting very anxious. I think I would have been really close to a panic attack at one point, because I was looking at the way the world was going. I told you I live in Canada, and everything that happens in the US is happening here, and in some cases in spades. And I've been very concerned, for my kids. And I said, okay, I know I'm not going to live forever, and I have young kids. The oldest is 13. And I said, I need to be able to do something that shows them how to interface with the world and politics. And I said, okay, the best way I can do this is do reaction videos to news and politics. And I started doing that last year. And I released one video, I think it was on accident. And that one video is responsible for blowing up the channel. So I went from 300 subscribers in early July of last year to today. I'm at 10,500 subscribers, but all that came from one video, and I felt that it was artificial, and I wanted to make a real connection with people who were following my content. I have a bunch of strong supporters who watch my content, and I'm so grateful to them. And I felt like I should do something more, and live streaming and connecting with you and talking with you in real time felt more authentic than doing a recorded video. I will still I will still do the recorded content, you know, but I feel like having these conversations and talking about things in a real way for me matters, because when you edit your content, it feels pretentious to me. It feels pretentious to me, you know. So, oh wow, okay, I'm gonna pause and talk with. So, Free Will says, and I'm gonna just show the chat for everyone. Yeah, he said that yes, I know about anxiety. I'm on anxiety meds now. Wow. Yeah. So when you look at the world and you see what's going on in the world, and you have kids, you have little kids, innocent kids who you know are going to be facing these dangerous animals out there, you need to figure out a way to arm them with it, you know. So somehow I felt like recording all of this content, and you know what, you guys are helping, you know, like for those who support me and those who agree with me and those who don't, you know, you're helping to create content that will help someone else to figure out how to navigate a world that has basically gone insane. I grew up in the 80s, and the 80s, they said we're crazy, but right now it's like, man, the 80s were tame. Like, so things have gone crazy, and I just do all of this for my kids and for anyone out there who needs to know how to navigate what's going on in the world. But I feel like doing this in this format is more authentic, talking to you while we're looking at the news reports and actually exchanging ideas. So I just felt I should let you know why I'm doing what I'm doing, and that I'm going to be making more of an effort to have this on a regular basis. So maybe it's going to be 8 p.m. every evening, or it's going to be 11 p.m. every evening. I'm going to figure something out, but I'm going to be going live regularly on weekdays. I'm going to make that happen. So I hope you guys, you know, stay with me and hang out with me, and let's just have these fun conversations like I have been having with Free Will Burning. The 80s was one big melting pot. To me, the 80s were a party, like Police Academy, Voltron Force. Like my childhood, my family wasn't wealthy. Okay, my family wasn't wealthy, but you know, I feel like I have something that my kids will never have. Okay, the innocence of children's content. The movies were great. Terminator. I mean, look, we had it good. We had it good, but now it's like our kids are not going to enjoy what we enjoyed. All right, so I need to be respectful of your time. Let's go through this other story, wrap it up with a few comments and conversations. Those of you who are watching, please, I need you guys to jump in. This has been a two-way conversation for a bit. I need you guys to jump in. We're going to look at what the polls are saying about this story. So let's keep going with this report.
Ones who had really been pushing this idea that these Epstein files needed to be released, that there was more to them, that there was potential accomplices listed in them. So I just want to give you that quick fact check. But look, all to say, I think the big point on this is a story now that has been out for over a week, and the backlash we have seen from his base, from the MAGA wing of his party, has not really quieted down despite the president's efforts to get them to move on from this.
So was there, and I'm just going to say this and move on, was there ever a backlash to anything that the Biden administration did from the Democrat base? Was there ever a backlash to anything he did? So I want to know. Just let me know.
And so that's why he's continuing to really have to come out here and defend the attorney general. But it doesn't look like he's changing his tune on that just yet, Brianna.
Yeah, it does not. Elena Treen, thank you for that report. Let's go now to CNN chief data analyst Harry Enton. And Harry Enton, there's a new CNN poll that's just out. How's the controversy impacting the president's support?
Yeah, I would say that the word is dissatisfied. That is how Americans feel in terms of the releases so far of the Epstein case. Take a look here. Epstein case, amount of info release. The winner here, 50% dissatisfied. Doesn't matter, 29%, not heard enough, 17%. But look at the bottom of your screen. The percentage that are satisfied is just 3%. That's one, that's two, that is just 3%. I feel like the count on Sesame Street. Just 3% of Americans are satisfied so far with the amount of information released. The clear winner in this particular case is 50%. Half of the public is dissatisfied, at least so far.
And are you seeing a big difference between how Republicans and Democrats are viewing this?
No, and that I think is kind of the interesting sort of nugget in what's going on here. You see this 50% dissatisfied, and let's break it down by party. Okay, Epstein case, amount of info released. Look at this. You get 43% of lean GOP, that's Republicans and independents who lean towards the Republican Party, who are dissatisfied. Look at this. Just 4% satisfied? My goodness gracious. When you only have 4% that is with Donald Trump on a particular issue, that is ridiculously low. I've never seen anything quite like it. How about lean Democrat? 60% dissatisfied. Compare that to 3% who are satisfied. Again, 4%, 3% Republican, Democrat. You rarely ever see this type of agreement. Now, of course, there's another divide in American politics, one that has increased over the past few decades, and that is whites with a college degree, whites without a college degree. But in this particular case, we see agreement. What are we talking about? This Epstein case, amount of info released, dissatisfied, 55% of white college graduates and 53% of white non-college graduates, Donald Trump's historic base, yet the majority are dissatisfied.
Really interesting numbers. Harry Enton, thank you so much. Boris?
Yeah, so that's what I wanted us to see. We're seeing a real impact in the voter base, and we're seeing that, one, counter to what some Democrat voices would say, Republicans aren't in a cult. MAGA is not a cult. It is a collective of thinking people who came together to say, we're going to support this guy because his policies make sense. It's not about following a cult or a personality. It's about policies that protect the future, that protect legacy, that is America first. And it makes sense to me. Okay. Now, for those of us who decided that Trump is, his policies are great. Yeah. But once he dropped the ball on this was such an unforced error. And I don't think this is going away until the base is satisfied. All right. So let's take a few minutes to chat. First off, I'd like to thank you for being a part of this live stream. This has been refreshing just talking to you. Like I said earlier, if you join midstream, I said when I started the live stream that, look, I had a rough day at work today. And honestly, I needed to go and take a nap. I was up till about 4 a.m. Last night, and I've only had about 3 hours of sleep, and I was thinking to myself, maybe I should just have an early night. But I felt like talking to you, and you did not disappoint. Free Will, thank you for connecting and chatting, and I would love to see more of that from everyone else who's watching. I know that there will always be lurkers, people who just hang around and stand in the shadows. They don't want to, they don't want to be seen. I respect that. I behave the same way when I watch my favorite YouTubers sometimes, most of the time, I'll be honest, but when you're in a position where you're speaking and you really want to talk to people and share ideas, this is fun. Thank you so much. I'd like to ask you to consider subscribing to the channel. If you're watching because right now we're streaming on YouTube, X, Twitch, Rumble, and my other YouTube channel. So I would like you guys to please come on the main YouTube channel, Crossroads IRL. Please subscribe, like this video, share it, engage in the content. If you can't, put up stuff in the live chat, please do something in the comment section. Free Will says, and I'm going to Kick. I will consider going live on Kick as well. I will. I need to get my engagement, with you guys here in order. My engagement isn't where it should be. All right, so Free Will says, I'm not satisfied, but I didn't vote for the Epstein files to be released. True. Trump has done more than any other president in my lifetime. True. I said in this week has been insane. In one of the videos I did earlier about this whole Epstein situation, I said, look, he has accomplished more in 6 months than most presidents have in a full term. And it's not an exaggeration. It feels like we've been through a full presidential term with everything he's accomplished in 6 months, and with all of the energy and activity and momentum that his presidency has achieved so far. It was inevitable that someone was going to drop the ball somewhere. It's like a soccer team or a sports team that has this run, okay, that has this winning streak, and it's like it goes on for so long that someone is bound to get cocky, overconfident, not go for training, not use the playbook, and someone will drop the ball. Okay, so I think that this was inevitable, but it was monumental. It was an unforced error. All right, so I think that this isn't going away, and I think that, to be honest, we have to keep supporting. For those of you who are in the States, keep supporting his policies, but we still need to know what happened here, because like I said earlier, the challenge is there are people who are out there lobbying and setting policy because they are influential millionaires. And that's where the problem is. So some of these people are setting policy that will affect you and will affect me all the way up here in Canada. So I think that this isn't going away, and we'll see how he handles it. But he did have the Energy Summit today in Pennsylvania. I think it was, or was it in Pittsburgh? I think it was in Pittsburgh. And I had wanted to cover that today. Maybe I'll cover it tomorrow. Maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow. All right. So I hope that you guys will consider coming on tomorrow. I'll be going live tomorrow. I will leave a post on the community section. In fact, I will schedule the time so that you'll all know when the stream is going to be. So again, please consider subscribing, liking the video, sharing the video. Please, it helps a whole lot. Like I said, welcome, Alberta. Okay, so can I tell you a secret? All right, the secret is this: I have sworn off talking about Canadian politics for two reasons. And those of you who are watching who are Canadian, this is what I have decided to do for the meantime, and I think it's going to be permanent because, okay, two reasons. Reason number one, I don't know much about Canadian politics. It's as confusing as British politics. Okay, the whole parliament system and so on is confusing. The monarchy, the prime minister is confusing to me. And then the second reason is there's no freedom of speech. I'll just say it. Okay, my audience is not Canadians, and I have a few Canadians who watch. I have some who have chastised me in the comment section for being pro-Trump, and I'm like, look, I'm not looking for a fight. I'm just looking at policies, and I'm calling balls and strikes. If Trump does anything wrong, and this was weeks ago, months ago, I said, look, if Trump does anything wrong and I feel it's wrong, you will find me talking about it and I will call it out. And I don't know where these guys are. I've been talking about this Epstein situation for a week, and none of them have shown up to say, okay, yeah, we see you and we know that you're not, a Trump shill. So I don't want to get involved in Canadian politics for those two reasons. And I don't think I ever will. I do know a fair bit about US politics. It's exciting. It's like watching reality TV. And it's also something that is very near and dear to my heart, because as goes America, so goes the world. And the first country to be impacted by what's happening in the United States is Canada, followed by Mexico, and then the rest of the world feels it. So it's interesting to see what's going on. And I also believe that US politics should serve as a city on a hill. Other countries should look at what's going on in the US and learn from it, both from the good and from the bad. And then that should help them build up their own countries. I wish my country of origin would do that, but right now they are not interested. So that is why I picked up my wife and kids and left Africa and came over to Canada. So Free Will Burning says I made an AI video about it on my channel. All right, so post a link to your channel, Free Will Burning. I want to promote your channel. You've been so much fun, and I do appreciate you. Post a link to your channel. I'm going to leave the chat up, so you can put up the link to your channel. You can put your handle, your YouTube handle, on the chat as well, so that anyone who's watching it will see it and head on over to your channel. I want to promote people who have, who engage on the channel and help out with creating a great experience for everyone else. So please put up the link to your channel. And I would like us to continue having these conversations. Eventually, I'm hoping to have a call-in system set up for the live streams. I have a Discord server that I set up for that purpose, but I just want us to kind of build some momentum, have these kinds of interactions, and then eventually we'll be able to have live call-ins. So there are a few of you who want to keep chatting, and then a few of you who want to, use the call-in feature and have a conversation. So Free Will, I'm still waiting for your link. I'm going to leave the chat tool up for a while, because I want you to put up your link, and I also want to follow you. I also want to follow your channel. So we're waiting on that to happen. All right, so everyone else who's watching, thank you so much for being a part of this live stream. You have all made my day. While we're waiting for Free Will to put up the link to his channel, so we can all go over and watch his AI video about Alberta being the 51st state. If you feel like it, and I really would like you to, just post a comment on where you're watching from. I should have opened up with that, but me being it's not appearing. Oh boy. All right. Jeez. Okay, here's the okay, just type the word. Just type the word that is, don't put the @ sign. Just put the handle. Just put the word. Don't put the @ sign. I think there's a security thing that's going on YouTube. I have to figure that out. Just put the name. The handle for the channel is Crossroads IRL. Okay, so just take out the @ sign and just put the name, the username of the channel, if you have one. If you don't, I will be really sad because I really want you. Okay, but however, you can go on YouTube. If that's not working, try that. Then I'll think of something very quickly before we go off the air. Let's see. Yes, Free Will Burning. I am heading over to you. So those of us that are watching, please, I would like us to please support each other. I want to support Free Will Burning. I'm going to just flip over to, let's see which channel. Yeah, I'm going to just flip over, and so go on over, head on over there, subscribe to his channel. Let's support him as well. I am subscribing. Yeah, I am subscribing and hitting the bell icon too. All right, so I have subscribed, and I hope everyone else too considers subscribing. Thank you so much, Free Will Burning. I will watch the AI video. I'm sure that there will be some laughs. I want to I find it humorous for the whole conversation about Alberta leaving Canada, but the conversation is really intriguing, and I will not do it here. Like I said, I don't want to talk about Canadian politics. It is too volatile. And I am an immigrant. So I don't want to get involved. I want to talk about US politics because my daughter is an American citizen. So I can claim that's why I'm interested. All right, so take note of his handle. And those of you who are watching after the fact, okay, this is the guy who's been chatting and engaging. And I would like for more of us to be able to do this and engage, and also have the stuff that we're working on, to get promoted, because it's hard. It's hard to break through the algorithm and then to hit critical mass and velocity and terminal velocity and leave that spot where you're just a new YouTuber. I hope to see you tomorrow. I'll be going live tomorrow again. I'll let you know in the community post. I'll do a community post to let you know when I'm going live. I do hope to have you joining. Again, please support by heading on over to Crossroads IRL, the YouTube channel, subscribing, hit the bell icon, share the video, like the video, leave a comment in the comment section of the video. Support us that way. It goes a long way, believe me. But what you've done today by just watching has made my evening. Thank you so much. And I'll have to end this live stream because I have to let you guys go, and then we'll talk again tomorrow. Thank you so much.